Welcome back to the Deep Dive, where we deliver the shortcut to being truly well-informed.
Today, we're focusing our lens on a figure you probably think you know, the legendary Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy.
Right, B.C. Roy.
When we think of him, we immediately picture this iconic, almost mythic architect of modern West Bengal.
A world-class physician, a post-independence leader.
Exactly. But our mission today is to go backward, to uncover the messy, often contradictory details of how a successful doctor in the colonial era even became a political force to begin with.
Yeah, we're tracing that journey from a brilliant but a slightly struggling medical student into a political giant.
And for this deep dive, we're really leaning on the insights from Dr. Nitish Sengupta's biography, Dr. Bidhan Chandra Roy, Jamano Shmoykal.
It's a key source because it doesn't just, celebrate his success. It details the surprising, sometimes humiliating roadblocks he faced.
Roadblocks that ultimately forged his character.
And here's the hook for you right away. His path didn't start with some smooth entry into the elite. It started with a national awakening and then, almost immediately, a shocking professional failure.
All because of another doctor's bruised ego.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with him as a young man, surrounded by all this political change.
Right. So B.C. Roy's nationalistic feelings were already simmering, let's say, when he was a student. This was during the partition of Bengal.
A hugely volatile time.
Incredibly. The Swaraj movement had created what sources call a fiery situation right there in Calcutta. So he's just immersed in it.
And we get this great little detail that shows his sort of internal struggle with the whole colonial system.
Oh, the Benjamin Charles Roy thing.
Exactly. He jokingly mimicked the English among his friends, calling himself that. He was, playing the game, but his real identity was clearly fighting to get out.
But that internal conflict, it very quickly became an external and a very painful reality for him.
This is when he's studying medicine.
Yes. He was excelling under his mentor, a Colonel Lucas, but he ran into a really vicious conflict with another physician, a gynecologist named Dr. Peck.
And the incident itself was almost ridiculous.
It was. Peck's horse carriage collides with a tram, just a traffic accident.
And B.C. Roy sees it happen.
He witnesses it, and he's called to testify, and he does what you'd expect. He tells the truth.
Which meant speaking against Dr. Peck,
who was definitely at fault. And this is just a classic case of colonial ego meeting an inconvenient truth. Peck was furious.
Furious that a young Indian student would contradict him.
And he decided to use the power he had. He deliberately failed B.C. Roy in his final MBBS examination.
Wait, hold on. Just because he told the truth about a carriage accident, he was barred from getting his degree.
It was professional malice, pure and simple. The power they held was absolute.
That's an unbelievable display of punitive power.
It is. And the consequences were real. Roy had to take this alternative, less comprehensive degree, the LMS, a huge setback.
But his talent was just too obvious to ignore.
Undeniable. Even with the LMS degree, he quickly became known as an exceptional physician. A Dhanwantari, they called him, the physician of the gods.
So he essentially gets a post in the Bengal Medical Service.
Right, back under his original mentor, Colonel Lucas.
So his reputation is already growing.
Yeah.
But that same integrity that cost him his degree, it gets him into another high-stakes showdown.
Yes, and this incident, this is fundamental to understanding who he becomes. It's about the hospital's discriminatory rules at the Ezra building.
What happened?
So, on his rounds, he notices an error. A European doctor had admitted a Jewish woman to the European ward.
Okay.
But the order had extra bed written on it, a typo. The protocol was that Jewish patients had to go to a separate hospital, the Ezra building.
Which is now the chest ward, right?
Correct. So Roy spots the violation, tells the staff to move her to the correct building.
And the European doctor just refuses.
Of course. It was about his ego, his authority. He wasn't going to be corrected by an Indian doctor with an LMS degree.
So it escalates.
All the way up to the principal, Dr. Lucas.
And Lucas has already seen this play out once before. He's seen Roy's integrity cost him dearly. I imagine he expected him to just back down this time.
But he did not. He stood his ground, and Lucas was, he was just tremendously impressed.
He saw that unbending quality in him.
And this moment leads to the absolute defining principle of B.C. Roy's public life. Lucas, a British officer, gives him this piece of lifelong advice.
What does he say?
He tells him, "I would want you never to bow an inch before any Englishman, because if you try to bow an inch, he will try to completely break your backbone."
Wow. So the system that created the hierarchy
Is the very system that gives him the blueprint for resisting it. It's this incredible validation that his path is the right one, uncompromising self-respect.
And armed with that, he goes and gets fully credentialed.
He does. He takes a leave in 1909, goes to England, and comes back in 1911 with his MRCP and FRCS. He returns formidable, unassailable, really.
So he comes back in 1911, not just competent, but professionally bulletproof. And just as the political world is about to explode,
Precisely. Which brings us to the shifting political tides that swept him in. The Swadeshi movement is strong. The capital is moving from Calcutta to Delhi.
the center of gravity is just vibrating with change.
And his entry point into all this, it isn't through protests on the street, it's through administration.
Through the man they called the Tiger of Bengal.
Ashutosh Mukherjee. He clearly saw Roy's administrative genius.
Even though Roy was just focused on medical education at the time.
Right, teaching at Campbell Medical College School, then becoming a professor. But his interests broaden to the governance of Calcutta University, and he becomes a Senate member.
Which puts him right in the orbit of Bengal's political heavyweights.
At the exact same time, nationally, you have the non-cooperation movement in full swing. This is 1921.
Led by Gandhi. Now, Roy wasn't actively involved in that movement yet.
Not actively, no. But he was watching this massive strategic split happen among the Indian leadership.
And it all centered around the Montagu-Chelmsford reforms of 1919.
Exactly. These reforms offered Indians a very limited form of self-governance, a system called diarchy.
So they could control some things, like health or education.
But the British kept control of the important stuff. Finance, police, the real power.
It sounds like a classic divide and conquer strategy. So why did it cause so much anger, especially towards Surendranath Banerjee?
Because Banerjee, who had been this titan, the Rashtraguru, the teacher of the nation, he accepted a post, the Ministry of Self-Government.
Which to most nationalists, it just looked like collaboration.
It looked like a betrayal. He went from being the father of Indian nationalism to being seen as a moderate working with the Raj. Public anger was just intense.
And this is where Chittaranjan Das Deshbandhu comes in with a different strategy.
Right, so Gandhi's wing of Congress is calling for a total boycott of the legislature.
Don't participate at all.
But Das, who founded the Swaraj Party, he favored something he called responsive non-cooperation.
So not cooperation, but also not a total boycott. What was the goal?
The goal was to participate in order to obstruct. Get inside the legislature and challenge the government from within. Wreck the flawed system by showing how unworkable it was.
And for that strategy, he needed leaders who were principled, untouchable.
He needed an uncompromising challenger, which leads us right to the unthinkable victory that launched B.C. Roy's political career.
So the Calcutta municipality elections are coming up.
And Ashutosh Mukherjee, who's been mentoring Roy in university administration, tells him he has to run.
Against who?
Against the most powerful man in Bengal, Surendranath Banerjee, in the North Calcutta Barrackpore constituency.
That's insane. Banerjee was a political god, the Rashtraguru. For a newcomer, that sounds like career suicide.
For anyone else, it would have been. But Roy took the challenge, and he used the same method he'd learned from his medical fights. Total integrity.
He filed as an independent candidate.
Exactly. It made it very clear he wasn't part of any party machine.
But his campaign had a very sharp focus.
Laser focused, he made one clear promise. He would immediately withdraw his candidacy if Surendranath Banerjee just resigned the ministerial post the British had given him.
So it was a direct, principled challenge to that whole politics of moderation.
And with the stakes this high, C.R. Das Deshbandhu, he had to get involved. He believed Bengal politics needed to forge its own path.
So he goes to B.C. Roy.
He urgently approaches him and says, "Run as a Congress candidate. Run under the Swaraj Party banner."
He's offering him the power of the biggest political machine in the region.
But Roy had to give up that independent label.
And what did he decide?
He stood firm. He told Das that while he agreed completely with the ideology, with the goal of obstruction, he had to maintain his status as an independent.
He wouldn't compromise that self-respect he had fought so hard for.
He wouldn't. And that is remarkable confidence for a political newcomer. C.R. Das saw it, and he backed down.
He didn't try to force the issue.
No. Instead, he made sure that Congress nominated no candidate against Roy.
So he effectively gave him Congress's support, but let him keep his independence.
The stage was set. And this was not just a local election. The whole country was watching. It was a litmus test for the future of Indian politics.
Moderation versus defiance.
The old guard versus the new generation.
And the results, when they were declared on November 30th, 1922, they were just shocking.
The 42-year-old newcomer, B.C. Roy, he defeated the Rashtraguru.
By a huge margin.
An immense margin. It was more than a political win. It was like a symbolic execution of that whole moderate approach to colonial rule. The voters chose defiance.
And that victory officially launched his political career inside Calcutta Corporation.
And it cemented his entire method. Integrity first, politics second.
What's really fascinating is that this was just the beginning. He rises up in the corporation, he starts working with figures like Suhas Chandra Bose.
All while maintaining his world-class medical practice. He literally carried the title of doctor right into the halls of power.
He showed that professional excellence and an ethical backbone weren't, side hobbies.
They were prerequisites for effective public service, a whole new template for leadership.
So what does this all mean for us? B.C. Roy's incredible political career starts not by joining a party, but by taking this principled, independent stand against the father of the nation.
His whole journey is defined by these acts of defiance, against Dr. Peck, against the colonial hospital rules, and then against political moderation itself.
He learned that lesson from Lucas early on. Bowing an inch meant breaking his backbone.
And he carried that lesson straight from the hospital ward to the legislative chamber.
Indeed. We've seen how that absolute integrity was the foundation of his public life. And that leaves us with a final provocative thought for you to consider.
Does maintaining that kind of absolute independence, even when you're offered the powerful backing of major political machines like the one from C.R. Das, does that ultimately create a more resilient, a more effective political leader in the long run?